We're going to try to turn this off. Oh, something's happening.
Turn off the TV. Turn off the TV. Yeah.
This is good. It gives me a minute to like calm down. Oh, Brad Pitt. Okay. So first, before I get started, I want to show you guys these shoes that I wanted to wear, but they're super duper uncomfortable and they hurt my feet a lot. So like a beautiful artwork, we're just going to enjoy them so that I don't have to actually endure them, right? Because that would be being mean to myself. And I want to leave you guys with, we're at the end of a decade, right? We're starting 2020. So I want to leave you guys with 3 things that I want to do for myself, and I'm hoping you guys do for yourselves for 2020. And the first one is, I want to be kind to myself. And I'm hoping that all of you guys also are kind to yourself. So this is the first step, right? I'm not going to wear those shoes. They suck. Okay, so, who is it? Oh, they're late. Oh, wait a second. Give me... Don't answer it. Don't do it. Okay, we got it? Okay. We'll put them on the mic. Give me a second to breathe. Okay, so being kind to yourselves. And one of the reasons I think this is so important for most parents is I can't believe how cruel we are to ourselves, the things we say to ourselves. I'm always late. I'm so terrible at this. I look awful today, And if we think about it, would we talk to our friends like that? Would we say those things to a stranger? So I would ask you, when you're talking to yourselves, hi, Joanna. When you're talking to yourselves, ask yourself, would I speak to a friend like this? Would I tell this stranger on the street, you look so gross in those jeans? Don't say it to yourself, catch yourself. That's rude. That's rude. And you're modeling that for your children, right? Because even if you don't say it out loud, even if they don't hear you, they notice, they see your expressions, they see your sighs and your eye rolls and your attitude that you have towards yourself. And then you raise kids, right, that have that shame. And they're growing up with those insecurities. So think about that, with how you talk to yourself, because that's where it starts, right? We expect to raise these kids that are independent, confident, and confident and independent. You've got already, so that's good. we can learn from them. But often they're watching us closely, right? Sometimes closer than we'd like to admit, and closer than we'd like them to be watching. So really being kind to yourself. One of the reasons why it's hard to be kind to ourselves is because we're always thinking in the past, right? We're thinking, what did we do wrong last week, or this morning, or last night, right? Because we're not in the present, we're in the past, or we're thinking in the future, right? We're just never in the present, and that's really hard. But a lot of us are that way for a reason, because in order to run a household and have a job and do all of the things we're doing, we're juggling, right? We're constantly throwing a million balls in the air. We're thinking, we're scheduling doctor's appointments, we're buying new socks, we're making sure there's toilet paper, we're doing the taxes. We're doing so many things all the time, and that takes a lot of mental juggling. Planning ahead constantly, just so that everybody can survive and move forward, right? And we're really good at it. And we should stop for a second and pat ourselves on the back. It's pretty amazing, right? Good job. Yeah? Okay. But it does make it hard to slow down and enjoy the present and be focused in the moment for all that planning. What's the use of that if we're not enjoying the present? We're not having a good time. Sorry, I'm a little shaky. But anyway, so one of the tools that I talk about in my book, Stretch Marks, is a tool that I use to really help me hone in on the present. And it's called Purpose Pockets. And the way it works is that we have pockets throughout our day. So maybe the first pocket is getting the kids up, getting them fed, ready for school, and out the door. Second pocket is maybe you have a conference call. Third pocket is you've got to go run some errands, get some stuff done, and make it back to the office in time, or make it back to pick up kids at school. So each of those is a pocket. And each of those has totally different priorities, right? What's important to you in the conference call is way different than what's important to you at the market or at the dentist appointment, right? But we're constantly thinking ahead. We're not in the present. So Purpose Pockets is a way to hone all that energy and all that frantic emotion and get yourself into the present. So what you do is you just take like a couple seconds before you walk into the meeting, before you walk into the school, before you get up out of bed in the morning, and you think, okay, what's the point here? Like, what do I want to do? In this meeting, I want to be articulate, I want to be clear, I want to get my point across, and I want to resolve this one problem that's been like up in the air for weeks, and I just want to move on from it. Okay, boom, I just like focus myself in, and it's clear. Like, this is what I want to accomplish these next 90 minutes. I don't care about the dentist appointment or the lack of paper towels at home. That's not important, and I can't do anything about it right now anyway, right? So those to me are genius. Even getting in the car to me is, we've lost family members in car accidents, right? You get in the car and you just think, okay, I want to arrive safe and on time, and I want to have everything that I need once I get there. And that helps me think like, oh shit, I almost forgot this. And I'm gonna put this in the car, and it helps me hone in and remember, I'm about to drive a car on the 405 right now. Like, I should probably pay attention to that, I'm serious, right? So purpose pockets, I highly recommend using. Let me go to my notes here for a second. Okay, so being kind to yourself is a way to get yourself into the present moment, be safe, and be way more effective and calm like throughout your day. So I would say for 2020, number one is be kind to yourself, please. I'm gonna try. I'd ask all of you guys to try. The second thing is be honest with yourself. Now, we're all very different. Everybody's different, right? And that's great. We can't all be the same. And thank God for that, right? And so because of that, we all have different values. We have different lifestyles. We have different priorities. We have different, styles of interacting with the world. We have different family structures. And it changes. Like, who you were last year is different from who you are this year. Everything changes all the time. But for some reason, we think that we should all compare ourselves against each other. We're all so different. So, if we're really honest with ourselves about, what's important to me? What are my values? What's my lifestyle? I can't expect it to work for you or you or you. And I shouldn't expect your lifestyle or your choices to work for me. So, let's give ourselves a break and acknowledge that we're all different. But with that comes, embracing our weaknesses and our mistakes and not expecting ourselves to be perfect in every area. The way society is structured right now. Sorry, there's not as many dick jokes in this, but it's very serious all of a sudden. I hope it's helpful. Anyway, okay, sorry. Anyway, Jerusha, did you get the laughing shot? Anyway, okay. I'd hardly say that word. Anyway, okay. So, yeah, good. No apologize. No apologizing. I'm here. Damn it. Take it. Okay. What was I talking about? Oh, kintsugi. So, in Japan, there's a art form called kintsugi, and this is where they take broken pottery or vases and they put it back together with glue that's mixed with powdered gold. So when they do this, it actually accentuates the weaknesses and the faults, and it makes a more valuable end product and a more beautiful end product. So they're celebrating the weaknesses. They're not trying to hide them. And in life, we spend so much time hiding our weaknesses and either pretending they're not there, and it takes up so much of our mental space and energy. And if we can embrace them and lead with them and not make excuses for them necessarily, but just say they're here. I'm not great at this. Can we move on? And it makes you such a more likable person too, because people will say oh wait, you're not perfect. I'm not perfect either. Let's go have some wine. Let's chill out. It's fine, But it's scary when you're oh my God, that person seems perfect, right? Oh, you know what? I just remembered. I need to see better. Hold on. Oh, I can see you guys. I didn't want to see you at first, but now it's good. Okay. So anyway, kintsugi I love because it reminds me, let's embrace your weaknesses and move forward with them because nobody's perfect. And the way the world is structured, for some reason, the outside world, outside the home is you go here to go to the dentist. You go there to go get Thai food. You go here to get your accounting done. At home, you're supposed to do everything, right? You're supposed to cook and do the laundry and organize stuff and pay the bills and, on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And then we feel guilty that we're not good at all of it. Instead of being I'm really good at this 30%, I'm like, at this 40%, and the rest of it, like, I'm pretty shitty, but whatever, like, it's fine, or somebody else picks up the slack, okay? But we feel guilty about it instead, like we're supposed to be good at all these crazy different things, when out in the world, I would never go to my accountant and be like, okay, so I need Thai food, and like, I have this thing back in my mouth I need you to fix. No, like we would never, because they have specialties. But at home, we expect ourselves to be able to handle all these different things. And it's just not realistic. And we're all in the same boat, but somehow we like live in these bubbles, like feeling guilty that we're not really good at X, Y, and Z. And so instead, if we're like, you know what, I'm good at this over here, but I'm really not good at this. And like, that's okay, and let's move forward. And it's not an excuse to be like, hey, I'm like a really bitchy person, and so I'm just gonna use that excuse to be bitchy all the time. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you still work on yourself. And we have a thing at home that we do at dinner time where we do these we do a couple things. Besides, we do like gratitude things. Hold on. That's my hair's driving me nuts. So we do this gratitude thing. Excuse me for a second. And so we do this gratitude thing where everybody says, oh, did I mention I have a lot of kids? So I have 4 boys. They are 7, 9, how old? Somebody tell me. 10 and 12. Thank you, Lane. Forgot for a second. Okay. And yes, they're all boys, and they're lovely, but they have a lot of energy, and it's nonstop. So what was I talking about before that? Gratitude, yeah. So we do these gratitude. We do like one big thing and one small thing that we're grateful for. And then we do circle compliments, which if you have kids, this is genius. Are you using these, Lane? We talked about these before. Like, you say something that you admire about the person to your left. And everybody does it, including the adults. And like, when a kid hears a compliment from their sibling, who 5 minutes ago, like, they thought hated them, it's huge. Like, they get high off of that for a while. It really makes a big difference. Well, the third thing we just added recently was what I'm working on is. It's not like, oh, I'm working on a project or I'm working on this thing at school. It's like character building. What am I working on? So I always tell them, because it's a constant thing and I'm not done working on it yet, but living in the present, like being in the present moment, enjoying the present is what I'm working on. Because I got really good at, probably like so many of you, juggling and thinking about the future and planning and scheduling and all this stuff, always in the future, in the future, in the future. And like, I would be on a vacation, planning the next vacation. Anybody do that in their heads? And I'm like, I'm fucking on a beach now. Like, enjoy it. Sorry. So it's true. It's true, I do that. So being in the present and appreciating what you have is what I'm working on. And so bringing back to being honest. So I would say be kind to yourself is something I'm working on, and being honest with yourself. Embrace your weaknesses and your faults, and then move on. Like, let's not expend energy on the past and on our weaknesses, because we all have them, and let's move forward. Let's move forward. And the third thing that I wanted to bring up is, first you have to close your eyes for a second. I hate when people do this, but just close your eyes for a second. And think of your, like, pipe dream, crazy, like, never gonna happen, what you want in your life. Like, do you want to quit your job? Do you want to have another kid? Do you want to move out of the country? What do you want to do? Think of the first thing that pops in your head. Think for a second. For all of you that's cheating and opening your eyes, you see what I'm doing. Okay, so if you have it, I'm just going to get comfortable up here. Okay, so some of the times, you can open your eyes now. So when you think of this, a lot of people say that when they think of something that they really want that seems impossible, you think of all the reasons that you fear failure. And I think one of the really valuable things you can do is turn it upside down. So whatever you thought about, whatever came to your mind, even if it seems, actually, the more crazy, the better. Think of that, and Imagine right now it's done. Like you're living out of the country, you have that new job, you quit that job, you have that new baby, whatever it is, it's like it's reality right now and you have to deal with it. So what are the biggest things you have to deal with? Like what do you have to do differently? Do you need different resources? Do you need different support? Do you need different friends? Do you need, what do you need to do differently? And only then can you really answer like, can I handle that? Like, is that doable? Because often we think we want a certain thing. Oh, I want to quit my job and write a book and travel. Okay, you're doing it. Now what's scary about that? Well, what if I write a really shitty book and nobody wants to read it? Okay, well, I can get an editor and I can work with some people and I can do some beta testing. Then you really ask yourself the question, like, what do you really need to do to make it happen? Instead of, I just don't have time to write a book. I'm so busy right now. Maybe I'll write it, next fall. You have all of these excuses, right? So if you imagine yourself and you say, okay, what can I really do? I think that can be super, super powerful. And in the book, Stretch Marks is the name of my book, did I say that? I talk about the Amber mindsets, and that was not my idea. My editor was like, you should call it Amber. But I bought it because it's easy to remember. And so it goes like this. Ask is the first mindset. How am I on time? I could talk for like an hour. We're fine? Okay. Ask is the first mindset. And some people get stuck at like, I have no idea what I want. So some of you might have closed your eyes and been like, I don't have a pipe dream. I haven't asked myself what I want in a million years. I have no idea. Like that's selfish. That's greedy. That's crazy talk. Like I would never just carte blanche give myself a dream like that, right? So ask is for those people that are like, I have no clue. Whoever's mind was blank, you're in the ask mode. So in the book, I give like all these different tools and techniques and tactics because I don't know what's going to work for you. I don't know what your values are, what your lifestyle is like, what your priorities are, what your personality is like. Like different tools are going to work for different people, and only you can look at those and be like, oh yeah, this resonates with me. I'm going to try this. And then you can uncover like, oh, this is really what I want. Like for instance, for me, when I was really in the weeds with my little ones, I took the two oldest kids to a hip hop dance class. And the whole time I was like recording them on my iPhone, and I went back to the house and I showed Jamie the video, and in it you could see my reflection, so through the glass. And I was like this. Like the goofiest giant smile on my face the entire time, like the whole video. And I thought, I want to do more things that make my face look like that. And it hit me. It really hit me. And I was like, that has not been a priority for me because I'm just fucking surviving. Like I'm just trying to like sleep and like eat and keep these people alive and like try to teach them stuff. That's all of it. That took all of my energy. So for me, that was a revelation. And by then I was like, I have to do it. So, and I don't really do anything half-assed, as you can tell. So I'm in a bathrobe. So I like called the Edge Pacific, Performing Arts Center in in Hollywood. And I found out there was a hip hop dance class there twice a week. Some of you have been there with me. And I drove there twice a week, and I was there with kids like half my age minimum, because I was 40 at the time, and they were like in their, 19, 20, and then there would be like the random like 8-year-old that was there. I don't know why they weren't at school, but, and they were homeschooled, which my kids are homeschooled now, but at the time, I'm like, really? Showing me up? Anyway, and I was like in yoga clothes, and they're like in like cool hip-hop, like baggy pants and stuff, but it felt so good. It felt so good. It was so fun. And then I would walk, and then even if I would like, not terrible, but even if I was like not very great, I'd walk out of the class and I'd see all the moms on their cell phones that were my age sitting there on the other side of the glass. And I was like, at least I'm on the inside of the glass, Yay! Inside of the glass. Okay, so I got off my mindset. So the ask mindset is figuring out what you want, okay? The next one is M, and that's for move. And so sometimes you know exactly what you want, but you're like, I don't even know where to start. Like, I don't even know where to begin. My life is so full right now. I am so exhausted. Like, I can't add something more to my life. And when I added those hip hop classes, I thought the same thing. And I came home, and you know what? Like, making dinner, the same dinner for 800 million times in a row, didn't bother me as much because I had been to dance class that day. And I was like pumped up, and I was like, I'll make dinner. I'll do this, no big deal. But before, when that was all I had, it was like mind-numbing. It was soul-crushing for me. And once I added things that I enjoyed and that fueled me, like that made all the difference in the world. So I highly recommend you do that. But so you got the ask, and then so some people know exactly what they want. Others are stuck at the move, like how do I get going? How do I start momentum? And they always talk about the ducks. You guys seen ducks? Okay. So if like a duck has like a bunch of baby ducks, they're never like, okay, come on, like line up. Nope. Come here, line up, like da da da. You'd wait all day. You'd wait all day long. You'd never move anywhere. Instead, they just turn around, and they waddle, and they go, and everybody else lines up in a row, and they walk behind us. And I truly believe, I've seen it so many times, and I've read so many stories now, that that's how life works. You just have to get moving. Even if slowly, even if it's tiny steps, you have to start moving. Because if you wait for the time and the resources or your health or whatever, because as soon as you get the resources, something happens with your health. And as soon as you get your health, like something happens over here. This is just how life works, right? So if you just take a step in the direction of your dreams, and what if you're like, well, I'm not 100% that that's my dream. It doesn't matter. You can change course. But until you start moving, you can't change course from there. I have another aside on that, but I'm going to skip that because this is going to get a long story here. Okay. All right, so that's ask and then move. So sometimes you know exactly what you want, and you know exactly the tools you need to move. And in the book, in Stretch Marks, I have all this information about how, that you can choose from different techniques that help you kind of get moving and get motivated. So the third one is beliefs. And the B is for beliefs. And so sometimes you know what you want, you know how to get there, but it's like still not happening because in the back of your head, you don't really believe you should be doing that. Like you don't believe it's right. Like there's something else that's blocking you. And for me, like the financial block was a big one, right? For a lot of us it is. Like, oh, it's greedy to want to make a certain amount of money. There's people starving. There's people dying. Like I have clean water. We can talk ourselves up a storm, right? So one day I'm watching this show called like Millionaire Realtors. I don't think it's still on anymore. And it's like these 20-year-old kids and like fancy loafers, and they're selling these multi-million-dollar houses in Malibu, right? So obnoxious. And they're not very bright, and they're not very nice. And it shows in like the bottom corner, like bling, $70,000 commission, bling, $120,000 commission. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You kidding me? Like this asshole kid makes $2 million a year? Are you kidding me? And he's like spending it on what? Like he's doing what good for the planet? And I was like, I give a shit. I would do good things with that money. I'm smart. I worked hard. Like if he is making $2 million, I should be making $4 million minimum, right? And for some reason, it took me seeing that to like release this kind of judgment, like, oh, I shouldn't want more money. Like that's selfish. That's greedy. That's just wrong. And when I think of like the people that stop themselves for those reasons, those are the people that I want to be multi-millionaires. Like if you're thinking that, you're really the person that should have billions of dollars because you will be responsible with it, do like good things for the planet, right? Okay, so that's belief. So ask, move, believe, then there's elevate. And so this is about, like this is kind of where it gets fun, and it's about using tools like gratitude and visualization and meditation and what's the fourth one? Oh, forgiveness. That's a really hard one. So, but they're finding like the physiological benefits of gratitude and of forgiveness are huge, like legit differences. And meditation, for those of you who like aren't, like there's some people still like super skeptical about it or like interested, but like I can't sit still that long. There's a really awesome book called 10% Happier that's about meditation for fidgety skeptics. It's awesome. Anyway, but basically meditation is like exercise. So like when you go to the gym, like if you only looked really healthy and in shape for those 30 or 40 or 90 minutes that you're at the gym, however long people do that, and then the rest of the day, like you don't look like that, you wouldn't go to the gym. And meditation is exactly like that. Like it's not for the peace that you're feeling during those 10 minutes or 20 minutes that you're meditating. It's for how that changes your nervous system the other 24 hours in the day. Like, so I think that I wish more people talked about that, because to me, and like once you get in the practice of doing it and see the benefits, it's like becomes priceless. I'm totally addicted to it now. So that's my elevate portion of the mindsets. And then it goes to radiate, which is about like taking your gifts and your talents and your interests and using that to benefit a problem or solve a problem in the world that's important to you. And that's what we always tell our kids. We're like, my job, I feel like as a parent, is to teach them to identify their own gifts and their own talents and their own interests, and like find a problem in the world that they're passionate about and just tackle it. Like how big or how small, but like that's what I think is gonna bring like real fulfillment and happiness for them. So what I hope for you guys is that you are kind to yourselves and you don't wear the like super terrible shoes. This is my example of being kind to myself. And that you are being honest with yourself, and this is my example. Like, this is what I look like most of the time, not what I came in here with. So, like, this is the honest me, not the, like, fancy white dress that I'll probably never wear again, right? So this is the honesty. And for me, the third thing is the super scary success story is, like, so say, Marla, where are you? It's my public, where's Marla? Oh, there she is. So say Marla comes to me and says, okay, Oprah and the head of TED Talks called, and you're doing a speech for 5,000 people next weekend. Is happening, okay? And it's happening. And I would be like, I'm not ready for that. I won't be able to breathe, and I'll be like, I'll make a fool out of myself, and I'll talk too fast, and then I'll mess up, and then nobody will hyperventilate, and I can think of 8 million things that I'm not ready for, and that sounds terrible, and I can't do it. But if I do the super scary success story, and I think, she tells me, it's happening. Tickets are bought. Your name's on the marquee. It is happening. Deal with it. It's happening Saturday. I would say, okay, all right. So I'm going to hire a speaking coach. I'm going to meet with her like Tuesday and go over, some tips. And I know 2 people who speak regularly, like for work, and I'm going to ask them for their help and like give me tips on my, what I can talk about. And I'm going to like start visualizing myself like on the stage, speaking and being calm and like a great audience and laughing and clapping. And I'm going to visualize that every day. And I'm going to, so I would have all of these things, and I think like, okay, you know what? Like, I could totally do all of those things. And now in like 3 minutes, I went from like panic about it to like, I got this. Like, I'm gonna fucking do a TED Talk. Like, I'm excited. I'm ready for it. And so I think that when you look at it that way, you can turn a super scary success story into a super success story. So I hope for all of you that you are, in 2020, that you are kind to yourself, that you're honest with yourself, and that you turn your super scary success stories into just super success stories. Thank you for coming. Love you.
Give it up for Amber.